Welcome back. This time we're talking about Captain America Civil War. Yes, the 2016 summer blockbuster season has arrived, and it arrived in a big way with this movie. This is the third Captain America movie and the 13th movie overall in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it proves that 13 movies in, Marvel hasn't lost their touch. This is a fun, action-filled, emotional, character-driven story, and all of that comes together. I mean, that's what we've come to expect from the Marvel movies: good action, good characters, good story, good direction. We get all of that. Civil War is directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, who gave us Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which a lot of people, myself included, consider one of the best installments in the entire MCU. Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, two of the writers from The Winter Soldier, are back to write this one. And all four of them are going to be involved in Avengers Infinity War. So they have really kind of taken over for Joss Whedon as the main driving force of the MCU now. And honestly, I have no problem with it, because they have given us two great movies. Specifically with this one, as you can tell by the title, it's essentially a loose adaptation of the comic book story Civil War. Now, I'm not a big Marvel comic reader. When I do read comics, more often than not, I read DC. But I have to say, Marvel has left DC in the dust when it comes to movies. But Civil War is something I'm at least familiar with. I haven't read all of the series, but I've read a few of the issues. And with a lot of what Marvel has done with these movies, they take familiar comic book stories and they fit it to the stories they're wanting to tell in these movies. So this is not a direct retelling of the comic book story. This is a civil war amongst the Avengers, but it's based on events that have happened in the previous movies. After now with 13 movies, I don't think we're ever going to have a true standalone. Everything kind of feeds off previous stories, and this is no exception. Specifically, Winter Soldier and Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, I went into this one knowing as little as I could about the specifics of the story. I saw the trailers, I knew the basic idea that we're going to have this civil war. Beyond that, I knew nothing, and I enjoyed it because of that. So I'm going to be very vague about what happens in this movie, but I'll give you a basic structure. Is that the aftermath of a number of Avengers events, including the destruction of Sokovia in Age of Ultron, has led some in our government, the U.S. government, as well as other governments, to call into question the authority of the Avengers to go around the world and fight crime and cause collateral damage. So they come up with this idea of basically sanctioning the Avengers, and various members of the Avengers fall on different sides on whether they think this is a good idea. Obviously, Iron Man is on one side, Captain America is on the other, and they probably could have survived this split. But we add one very volatile catalyst into this brew, and that is Bucky Barnes. Steve Rogers, Captain America's best friend from World War II, who we learned in The Winter Soldier, was brainwashed by first Russians and then Hydra to become the ultimate assassin. Mix all of this together, and you have a very volatile situation that could very easily tear the Avengers apart from the inside. And as we have this story, we basically kind of have an Avengers 2.5, because almost everyone is in this movie, the two exceptions being Thor and the Hulk. We have War Machine, we have Falcon, we have Scarlet Witch, Vision, Iron Man, Captain America. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few others. Ant-Man comes back. Then we have two new members of the MCU get introduced in this movie. We have Black Panther, played by Chadwick Boseman, and we have the introduction of the MCU version of Spider-Man, played by Tom Holland. And both of them play pivotal roles in this movie at various moments. Obviously, this is the second film to come out this year that involve our favorite comic book heroes fighting against each other. The first being Batman v Superman. Now, as I've said a couple times, I enjoyed that movie more so than a lot of people did. But I'm not usually a huge fan of comparing one movie to the other, but there's really no competition here. Civil War is a vastly superior movie. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, yes, we have our heroes fighting against each other. Visually, it's often very cool. But from a storytelling aspect, and as a fan of these characters, you really do hate to see your heroes fight each other. They're supposed to be fighting the bad guys. But the story, the script does a good job of showing us why the characters are making these decisions. And we understand it a lot more than, say, in Batman v Superman, because we've been around these characters for multiple movies. And a lot of why they're doing what they're doing is based on events that we have seen over the course of those movies. Take Tony Stark, Iron Man, for example. He's feeling a lot of guilt over the loss of life in Sokovia that happened because of Ultron, which he had a hand in creating. Captain America, on the other hand, is very much in trying to save his former best friend. And when these two ideals are can't coexist, then we have ignition, essentially. I have to say, like Winter Soldier, I mean, the direction here is excellent. The action, the way it's shot, the way it's paced out throughout the movie, the action is excellent. It's raw at times. It's fantastic at times when you have various characters duking it out. I have a lot of things I really want to say about this movie, but I can't because it involves spoilers. I'm definitely going to have to do a spoiler version of this video later on, probably either at the end of the weekend or first of the week, because there is definitely a lot I want to say, a lot I want to delve into. This is something I thought about a lot on the way home. This is a movie it's complex, and it doesn't leave you right away. And one last comparison I'll throw out there to Batman v Superman. Unlike that film, which was utterly serious from start to finish, there is so much humor in this, and it never feels out of place. They always know how to throw in the right one-liners from the right characters, or just the situations in general. There's a lot of humor, and considering we're seeing these heroes that we love fight each other, I mean, it's sort of like seeing a family argument. That can come across as very uncomfortable. It's nothing that anyone really wants to see from an emotional standpoint. So the humor really helps to kind of liven it up and not let this movie get just bogged down in just sadness, for the lack of a better word. I'm still kind of digesting this movie, and again, a lot of it has to do with the things I can't talk about in this video without spoiling things. I'm not going to do that. So, if you're a fan of the MCU movies, comic book movies, good action movies, this is definitely one you want to go see. Really would like to know what you think. Try to keep the comments spoiler-free. Like I said, I'm going to have a spoiler-filled review up soon. That's where we can talk about things in the last act and speculation for the future. As always, you can subscribe to my channel, check out my other reviews, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.